Good afternoon, everybody. It's Dean from the Two Party Podcast. Just wanted to go over some news updates. It's been a minute since we've done that. There's some pretty good news going on. Let's just dive right into it. I'm going to start with the first one that I wanted to discuss, and that's Trump oversees Israel two Arab states sign pact. So this is about Donald Trump overseeing a historic diplomatic pact between Israel and two Gulf nations that he hopes will lead to a new order in the Mideast and in the upcoming election in September 15th. So this is really actually a pretty cool thing because we all know about the Middle East overseas. It is just it's nuts over there, and they need, I say they as if the powers that be need it. It's not the powers that be, the government over there, that needs peace. Okay, the government needs to seek peace. The people and the unrest amongst the people and citizens and innocent women, children, they need the peace. Those are the people that truly should deserve to have this pact go into effect and hopefully be honored by both sides, where we can watch and see some progress in the Middle East. There's parts of the Middle East, and I have a few Middle Eastern friends that have come and gone from there. I have a friend who has taught there. I've heard all sides of it. I've heard the cries from those people and what they're asking and wanting, and at the end of the day, everyone deserves to be free. Everyone deserves to have peace. Everybody should be able to raise their children and be able to live their life and have opportunity to do so, no matter what their under peaceful action, no matter what their religion, no matter what their background, their culture. I think that's part of the biggest issues we have with war and differences throughout our history is you just see so many people that just can't stand a different culture. And we know the war in the Middle East has been going on, turmoil from way back, religion, differences in culture, differences in what they believe the knowledge of God or Allah is, and then just overall how to govern tends to be a power thing. And unfortunately, there's no way to tally up the deaths, that have been caused by the overseas, the wars overseas. So I just wanted to touch on that. The main thing I think is interesting is that you're not seeing. I mean, I'm literally looking up Trump overseas, peace deal. Go ahead and try. Look it up. It's you're going to find some touch base. Like I just read off was a Yahoo, kind of a minor detail of it. But I mean, this is huge. This is something that should be posted on the front of every news channel right now as it's going on. This is for people in the Mideast, these Arab nations and Israel. This is historic. This is an amazing deal that really, I mean, if you're not in support of this, you don't really know what's going on over there. And that, I know that's going to fall on some people's ears, and they're going to be like, oh, we just hate Donald Trump. And, you don't know the issues over there. And this isn't a good deal. This is a great deal. Anytime you can seek peace, and anytime you can bring some closure to a nation or bring nations together to work together diplomatically, absolutely great. If you want to argue against peace, then you're not for peace. You're not for other people having peace in their lives. You're all about drama and disruption, and it's just not fair. I mean, we're in 2020. It's time to look at some different things. So that being said, I just wanted to touch on that. I've been kind of following this since it was first announced, and he's been getting, every bit of blown away. Pelosi, oh, this is distracting from Corona. I'm sorry, this should distract from Corona. We've lived through Corona for many months now, and this is a historic deal, and we deserve to hear about this. The American people, the Saudi, the Israeli people, Arab Emirates, they deserve to hear about this. And not only hear about this, they deserve this. So I'm glad it's distracting from Corona. That's kind of my stance on it. It should. Anytime there's a peace deal between nations that have been warring for years, and a diplomatic solution comes together, remove Trump from the scenario. This is a great thing. So that's kind of what I wanted to touch on. Another one, Netflix star and Biden surrogate Jerry Harris raided by the FBI for allegedly soliciting photos and sex from minors. Jerry Harris, star of Cheer on Netflix and former Joe Biden presidential campaign surrogate, has been raided by the FBI for allegedly soliciting photos and sex from minors. The FBI executed a search warrant on Harris's home in Naperville, Illinois on Monday afternoon. The investigation launched was made after allegations from a 21-year-old against 21-year-old Harris by 14-year-old twin brothers. USA Today spoke to the boys, who described the pattern of harassment both online and cheer competitions that started when they were 13 and Harris was 19. It continued for more than a year. Harris is accused of asking one of the brothers to have sex with him in 2019 at a varsity cheerleading competition. The FBI is conducting court-authorized law enforcement activity in the area. So they're looking this up. They're following through. They're getting all the reports, phones. Nowadays, the digital age, there's so many easy ways to track and trace things like that. There's a lot of clickbait out there. People don't realize how dangerous it is just to click on something. But this, to me, again, this is a historic headline. It's just one guy. This is obviously being thrown a little bit out there because obviously election and look, it ties to Biden because, that's politics. If it ties to Trump, they're going to throw it out there for sure. Is this something where we can say Biden is completely tied to this? No. I mean, the headline says it all. It's just a surrogate of the Biden campaign. This is not, Biden's right-hand man on the campaign. So, however, it's disgusting. Any type of sex with minors and child. We're hearing about this Cuties movie and on Netflix and their stance on it. And I'm sorry, it's absurd that we're even having the discussion in our nation, and people aren't in jail. Okay, it's disgusting that the parents aren't being held accountable for allowing their children to have a career in acting and to act out parts at their age and do what they did and were seen doing in this movie. So I don't know how you feel about it. I feel that the families should be in jail and held accountable, just like if somebody was doing this in your neighborhood, just Joe Schmo, and this was going on, and they were putting their child through acting school locally, and this was witnessed in a local neighborhood, you'd have the news all over this. The parents would be in jail. Child services would have stepped in. The children would be removed from the home. That is where we are at as society. Is we are at a point where it is acceptable because your child can be a star. It is acceptable to basically pimp them out to the movie industry, entertainment industry. We've heard a lot about this now. There's a lot of things I can disagree with, but Rose McGowan, I follow her on Instagram. I follow her on a couple of her social platforms, and she says some crazy, wild things sometimes. And we know she takes a very firm feminist stance. But I'm going to be completely honest. Some of what she says, I totally agree with, and I'll be even more honest about it. I like what she says sometimes. I like that she calls out Hollywood. I like that she calls out Weinstein, if that's his name, Weinstein, whatever. I like that she calls him out for what he did, his part in her abuse. I like that she calls out other people in Hollywood that she has been in Hollywood and witnessed and been a part of and a victim of these things. I also like that she will even call out her own friends in Hollywood and other celebrities who she may be friends with when their opinion. Prime example is kind of her. I think she just called out Alyssa Milano. I know they're good friends. She called out Hillary Clinton. So there, she doesn't hold back, and as much as she can get a little extreme on her point of view. I can kind of feel, I can relate with her. I feel like we've come to a point in this nation where pimping your child out for a sexual movie to get profit off your child and supposedly start your child's career into entertainment, to help their future. You hear horror stories. Some you don't hear because it's really hush hush, but you hear the horror stories. Whether you want to believe it or not, Corey Feldman. I mean, you can go down the list of the sexual problems and abuse that went on in entertainment in Hollywood back in the day, all the way up to today. This movie showing that it's still occurring and being allowed to occur, as you're putting a film budget, time, and money, and investors' money into a movie like this. So it is still going on. It is running rampant. We know by the daily arrests you hear about in the news that child porn and child sex trafficking is real and continuing to go on. Nobody wants to talk about it on the entertainment side. It disgusts me when I hear this stuff. It disgusts me that it's been allowed to continue. It disgusts me that we as a nation are going to allow a corporation to, whether the corporation filmed it or not, to release it on a public platform or forum, and not hold them accountable for the laws we have in this nation. As far as I'm concerned, that's just if that doesn't cross the line of child abuse and neglect, at the very least, there's a law on the books that it does violate, and the parents should be held accountable. The managers of these girls should be held accountable. If it's their parents, same thing, hold them accountable. Period. The talent agencies, the producer, editor of this should be held accountable. As far as I'm concerned, the editor of this film was in possession of, and the whole time of filming was in possession of child porn and or provocative child video. So I don't know. That's where I'm at on that. I know a lot of you guys, this is a hot topic, that movie. So that being said, I just wanted to touch on that. I'm typing something in real quick. So another thing I wanted to touch on is local story here is we have two officers were shot. Okay. This occurred, I want to say back in June, July. Let me check. I don't want to throw your facts off here. So this wasn't the story I was looking for. So needless to say, this and pardon my opinion, but this scumbag, David Ware, apparently was pulled over for some erratic driving, ran a stop sign in front of an officer. The officer witnessed it. Now, he was pulled over at 3:30 a.m. June 29th near 21st Street and 21st Street and 89th East Avenue here in Tulsa, after officials said he made a dangerous turn. So they discovered he had an expired tag and asked if he had any drugs or weapons. You can watch the video, and mind you, if you don't like graphic stuff, don't watch the video. I have watched the video. I pulled it up yesterday when I heard about it. I was astonished that the defendant's attorney got to release the video and the judge allowed it. But it looks like this case is trying to be, the attorney's trying to push this into a public forum and try to sway getting maybe a jury that will see it kind of as a public stance that this guy was trying to defend his life or scared. But you watch the video if you want to. I did. It's horrific. These officers lost their lives. They're both young officers. Well, one lost his life. The other one is in rehab trying to learn how to walk and talk again. and he's doing a great job from what I've seen in the videos that I've seen him post actual himself. The guy's talking. He's kind of in a wheelchair, working on walking again. Wants to come back to duty. I mean, amazing guy. But the other guy lost his life. So this guy, he got pulled over. They gave him over 40 commands to get out of this car. We're not talking about 2 rookie deputies. We had 1 deputy on the scene, newer, and we had the other deputy who was the supervisor, sergeant. So this isn't like 2 random cops that just pulled some guy over and started harassing him. They asked him several times, get out of the car, get out of the car, get out of the car. He didn't get out of the car. They said they would tase him. The both officers went around to the one side of the car, decided he wasn't going to comply. The officer from the far side of the car had tased him. It really didn't have any action other than just kind of pissing the guy off. They went around the car and tried to get him out of the car. He refused to come out of the car. There was a little bit of a scuffle, and at some point, and it was very hard to see in the video, but you could just determine that must have been the point, but he was flailing with his right arm, and at some point had to have reached either under a seat or under a floor mat. Somewhere on that floorboard of that car near the driver's side was a gun. And it appears that he grabbed that gun. I know at the beginning they were talking about he had grabbed one of the officer's guns. I don't think that's what I saw. I think it looked like he flailed around enough till he found a gun. And that's what I saw in the video. So I know there's been different stories told about what had happened at this point. At that point, police officer said that he had pulled the gun on Johnson, and Zarkeshian is the other officer, and fired multiple times. Johnson and Zarkeshian were shot in the head, both of them, and taken to the hospital. The next day is when Johnson had died, and Zarkeshian was critically injured. So this is, again, a horrific story, okay? The video, they released it. It's been a pretty bad topic for, our local news as well as our law enforcement. This is kind of really a kick in the nuts to our law enforcement, to say the least. This in the future may be able to help them with training and different aspects of what they can do to improve and prevent, hopefully, this situation. But everybody's unpredictable. Criminals unpredictable. Nobody knew this guy. You watch the video, you can see he's kind of acting a little erratic, but you would have never guessed this guy was fixing to pull a gun and try to kill 2 officers, and succeed in one. But I agree with law enforcement. This should not have been released for the victim's family, for David Ware's own family. I don't think public opinion, the court of public opinion, is where this case should be tried. It's very blatant. The guy jumped out of the car, fired the weapon, got the one officer in the head, turned, shot the other officer in the head, and they kind of edited the video, the one I saw, so you kind of missed what they said happened at the tail end, which was he basically stood over one of the officers and execution style shot him again. That portion of the video I have not seen, so I don't know how true that is, but that was the original statements and original reporting done. So that being said, I don't want to glorify the fact that may have happened, but that's what was told in the beginning. I did not witness or see that in the video I saw of this case. So horrific incident. Dude's in jail. Dude should stay in jail or get, honestly, to me, it kind of pushes the whole, this guy's a career criminal. He's got a record. As far as I know, don't quote me, I'm pretty sure he was a felon. So he was a felon in possession of a gun. His intentions, anytime, people talk about this felon with a gun thing. And I'm a firm believer in, if you've done your time, you do your crime, do your time. And when you get done with your time, there should be a period of time where, as a felon, you can, if you're doing the right thing for a period of time, you should be able to get your rights back to hunt and whatever. So I'm just that guy. People may disagree with me all they want. That's how I feel. And, you should not have your past held over your head for the rest of your life, unless you're not changing your ways. And then that period of time would be extended. So at this point, the way I see it is a felon with a gun. Okay. So if you're a felon and you're a felon and you're not supposed to be in possession of a firearm, and you go back to doing drugs, or you go back to the streets doing things you shouldn't be doing, robbing houses, whatever it is that you're a criminal doing, and you decide at some point you're a felon and you should not have a firearm, and you acquire a firearm and you start carrying a firearm, and you know you're not supposed to because you are a felon. And that is, I know that is dictated to you as a felon. That is said in court. That is said in your paperwork. That is said by your attorney. I'm sure if you have a good attorney, he should tell you that. Your family, people in the community, you're not supposed to have a firearm if you are a felon. You know that. You go back to your criminal ways, you acquire a firearm. So you automatically know you're a felon. You're not supposed to have a firearm, but you go and premeditated, you go find a firearm. You acquire one. So now you know that you're a felon with a firearm. So you're already breaking federal law. You are carrying this gun. And why would you be carrying this gun? Why would this guy, David Ware, be carrying a gun in his car? He's carrying a gun in his car for the intention of using the gun, whether it be in whatever situation or just to defend himself. But he's a felon. He's not allowed to have a gun. You want to defend yourself? Somebody pulls a gun on you, you have the right to defend yourself. And I feel, even as a felon, you have the right to defend yourself. But you do not have the right to defend yourself with a firearm if you have not had your rights reinstated or had a pardon. Period. That's how I feel. That's how the law works. This guy should have never had a gun. He did. Should he be tried? Death penalty. I say 2 officers down. Innocent life was taken. His actions and his career criminal path, and the fact that he acquired a firearm with the obvious intention of using one. You don't go get a firearm if you've never been in trouble and you have a firearm. Maybe your intentions aren't to ever use it. It's just to defend yourself, or maybe just for shooting at the range or hunting. But when you're a criminal, I'm sorry, but my opinion is your mind state's different. When you acquire a firearm as a criminal, your intent is to use it. How do you prove that intent in court? I'm not an attorney. However, I always have said and feel, if you are acquiring a firearm as a criminal for any reason, you know you're a felon, you know you're a guy that robs houses, you know you're a drug dealer, you are planning on and you have intent to use that firearm in a act that is not good. It is not meant for good intentions, that you have that. And you are determined that at the time you're going to use that, the intent would be to kill. You're not shooting someone to hurt them or injure them. You're shooting somebody with a firearm as a criminal to kill them so you can get away. And that's just my opinion on this situation in this case. So I think this guy, I pray that justice is served for the families. I pray that justice is served for both sides. I pray that the officer that survived can regain gain service again. I hope if that's his intentions is to go back and be a police officer again, he should be. If they can find the capacity for him to work, I think that would be an amazing thing and a real show of strength. But support your law enforcement. They are just getting beat up and kicked in the nuts every 5 seconds around our country, between these protests, between things like this, the shootings that just happened down in Texas. A couple more just happened, and I forget which state. The lady put a tourniquet on her partner's arm, who just got shot, while she's got 2 bullet holes shot in the face. I'm sorry, man, if you're not supporting our officers and you think it's okay for innocent men and women who are doing their job to be shot and killed and or maimed, I am sorry. You are the scum of the frickin' earth, and you need to support our officers. There is good and bad in everything in life, but if your opinion of a person doing their job, good or bad, is that they should die or be killed or be hurt, you're a sick individual. Nobody should be hurt. Nobody should be injured. Nobody should be maimed. If somebody's bad, we have laws that address that civilly. If we want to go back to caveman days and handle things with sticks and gun and mallets and rocks and start beating each other and burning each other at the stake, we're not going forward in time. We're reverting back, and everyone wants to blame the president. I don't ever hear our president out there saying anything about hurting people. I hear him saying justice should be served, law and order. You break a law, you serve your time. I think that's a very good stance. So support our law enforcement. They do not deserve the kick in the pants that they're getting these days. And real quick, I'll touch on a few other things. There was a settlement reached on the Breonna Taylor's wrongful death lawsuit. There was also some news that apparently something came out or was released or leaked about her maintaining or managing some money for her ex, who was a drug dealer. Again, do your research. I heard the story, don't know too much about that end of it, but her family will receive some money, and part of that 12 million that her family will receive is also has in there that there will be some police reform in Louisville. So pray for that family. What a mess. What a mess. So Israel did sign the deal establishing family ties with 2 Arab states at the White House. Biden campaign manager, we talked about that. Justice Department opened a criminal investigation into Bolton's book. So John Bolton, guy gets fired. All of a sudden, he's got a book out, anti-Trump. Before he was even fired, he was kind of pissed at Trump, anti-Trump. This guy's a warmonger. Every administration in politics in his whole entire career, this guy has been a go-get-em war guy. He's pro-war. Every politician that even has spoke about this guy talks, other than the people that are aligned with him for anti-Trumpness, have spoken to the degree of the nature of his character, and his character is very pro-war, very offensive, so to speak, about our relationships worldwide. And he's a bad character in the mix of things. It's good that he's not in the White House or holding a job. His book is now they're opening an investigation because he did say a lot of things, do a lot of things, and he released a lot of things that potentially he may or may not have got cleared by Secret Service and the administration, that could maybe not be legal to be in a book yet, or approved to be released legally. So that's where that one's going. We got a life-threatening storm expected to hit. Hurricane Sally targets the Gulf Coast. Now, we've already got battered by one storm. That wasn't too bad, for some people. For others, it was destroyed stuff. And it went up through, its path went a little further than most thought, and it did some damage. So this one, pray for these families in the path of Hurricane Sally. It's coming. It's going to hit the Gulf. It may dissipate. We'll see. But anytime there's a storm or an act of nature that is coming at you, man, be prepared. These wildfires, same thing. If this wildfire is coming to you, leave, evacuate immediately when you have more than a few miles from your house to do so. Winds can shift, things can change. Act of God. Let's be real. Your house, your possessions, I don't care if you got $1 million in a safe sitting in that house, it is not worth losing your life because you're not going to spend a penny of it. So pack your money and go, or leave. It's just money, that's hard to say for a lot of people. It's hard for me to say it, but leave. Don't, there's nothing, your house, your car, custom hot rods, money, leave the area you're at if you're in front of a wildfire or a natural disaster like that going on. So Pelosi blasts the skinny deals. Pelosi's back at it again. They're now apparently off vacation and back in session now. Nobody can leave the house until we get a deal, is her new stance on it. In the meantime, we've been waiting for months for her and the Senate to get together, our lawmakers, and freaking get off their high horse and make a deal, not for themselves, for us, for the American people. And they haven't. And I've said this before. There's an episode of this on here. Our congressional leaders are a failure. She's a disgrace. The Senate's a disgrace. Any politician that's sitting in the House or Senate right now, and we as the people that have needed it, businesses and families that are struggling, lost their jobs, had to board up their businesses, these people are scum. These politicians are idiots, and the media's got everybody at each other's throats over left and right and Democrat and Republican, and everyone's missing the point. It's really about getting these freaking idiots out. So that being said, that's an update on Pelosi's BS. So, and that goes on both sides. I'm not trying to lean to the right as much as I do. But fact of the matter is that lady had more than enough time while the Senate has still been in session doing things. And these people decided to take a hiatus because they thought that was the high road. And so the U.S. has suffered for it. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. I might do another news update later. You guys have a great day. Dean at Two Party Podcast signing off.